Thanks once again for dropping by the channel. If you like the content, if you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe, share the video if you enjoyed, felt it was useful. Now let's get into this. So, Dillian Whyte versus Alexander Povetkin, and we know that fight is being talked about, it's being discussed by Eddie Hearn for possibly happening in August at the Matchroom headquarters. Now, Dereck Chisora, who came out during the week, it was kind of saying that, he feels he's better than Dillian Whyte, words to that effect, saying that he wants a third fight with Dillian Whyte. He's come out and said that he's actually publicly, I think he said he's spoken to Alexander Povetkin about being a sparring partner for Alexander Povetkin for his upcoming fight with Dillian Whyte. He said that Povetkin, words to the extent that Povetkin's my boy, he said he'd get me a private jet and get me out to Russia. Now, that's what Dereck Chisora had to say. With Chisora, sometimes you can take what he says with a pinch of salt. He is that type of character. In terms of a sparring partner, for Povetkin, Dillian Whyte can be physical. Dereck Chisora is, quite a physical character when he wants to be. But in terms of, dimensions, height, everything, because I reckon Dillian Whyte is going to box Povetkin at a distance, kind of similar to how he did against Oscar Rivas, use his jab a lot. That's probably not going to be much benefit to Alexander Povetkin having someone like Dereck Chisora in camp. I would imagine in terms of maybe, if it gets a bit rough and tough in there, maybe, but Dillian Whyte's probably a little bit physically stronger than Dereck Chisora anyway. So, I just found it interesting, Chisora offering his services to Alexander Povetkin and Povetkin accepting it. Obviously, he's saying private jet because of the travel restrictions, this, that and the other. God only knows what kind of, quarantine would do, because I hear that, I think if you're leaving the UK, God only knows what the quarantine is like. And if you're coming back to the UK, you have to quarantine for like 14 days, some of the bullshit like that. So, God only knows what will happen there. But, I do, as my phone just goes off there, I do find it interesting now that we heard announcements for Povetkin versus Whyte. We're hearing that Frank Warren is hoping to do Dubois versus Joyce in September, October. We're hearing, like little bits of snippets of fights here and there. But we haven't heard anything about Usyk versus Chisora. Now, that fight could probably be held behind closed doors. But you would imagine that Usyk probably wanted a payday. Chisora is a payday on Sky Box Office. And I think that Dereck Chisora, probably himself as well, wouldn't want to do that fight behind closed doors. Because Chisora is, when the crowd is there, especially in the O2 and they're singing his name, he really does tend to bring his game. Like if you look at Dereck Chisora when he fought Kabayel, right, that was in Monaco back in 2017, in Monte Carlo. Those shows, Eddie Hearn's been doing those shows for a couple of years now. The atmosphere in that arena, I think he's doing it in one of the Monaco casinos. The atmosphere is not amazing. It is quite quiet. The shows themselves, Eddie Hearn puts that show on every single year. I think November, the end of November. And to be honest with you, they really aren't great. Truth be told, I know why Eddie Hearn does it for the event, the glitz and glamour of Monaco, but realistically, I don't think there's ever a fight that you could speak about on one of them cards that, you could really, say, oh, that was good. We've seen a couple of robberies. I've seen 2 robberies on those Eddie Hearn shows in Monte Carlo that I can think of. Jane McDonnell against Liborios Lice and Calify against Israel Gonzalez. But in terms of that, they're not memorable shows, and I can see kind of why Chisora, when he fought Kabayel, if that fight had been in London, who knows, Chisora might have won that fight, because he was very lackluster against Kabayel, and I do think that crowd had a lot to do with it, because it's a very kind of, high class crowd, because Monaco is a very expensive city. I don't think they even pay taxes, I don't think they pay income tax in Monaco, so, that's where the rich come to play. So I can see why Chisora didn't bring his A game. And in terms of him against Usyk, I think that Chisora would be one of those fighters where he would not benefit from fighting behind closed doors. Having that crowd sing his name, that gives him that little bit of an extra boost. You can definitely tell that with Chisora. So those are my thoughts on this. Be interesting if Chisora does become a sparring partner for Povetkin for this fight. You know, I know him and Dillian Whyte seem to be on good terms, but Chisora, he's a businessman at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, sparring partners do get paid as well, in some cases. So, you know, he might get well paid for being a sparring partner for Povetkin. So who knows? Let me know your thoughts down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about, not even so much Povetkin and Whyte. Let me know what you think about Usyk and Chisora, when and if that fight's going to happen. Let me know your thoughts down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, of course, if you are new. Shout out to Mark, One Rival Boxes, for the shout out the other night. Appreciate that, bro. And I'll talk to you.